where people are getting jammed up. That's a big stopping point, I think, when we're talking about moving forward in the process. And, there's a lot of different things that can be happening at the time during the interview process or even pre-interview that can get you like disqualified from the actual process. And it really depends on where you're at in the process, how that happens, how it works out for you. So I've seen just lately, these past couple of weeks, a couple of people on their resumes not really sharing a lot of information about what it is they want to do. And what's unfortunate about that, and I'm not going to, name any names here, but I work with a lot of hiring managers, let me just say. And we don't care about anything. We don't care about anything except for, can you do the job? And that's the way it is for a lot of companies right now. I think candidates think on the other side that hiring managers or recruiters are just trying to disqualify people. And it's really not about that. What they want to do is not spend an hour looking through 50 resumes. They want to see a resume from someone who knows that they want this job. How do they know that that's the case if they're looking at your resume and it doesn't necessarily say what it is that you want to do? That's exactly why I posted the other day about these career coaches that are coming out of the woodwork. Be forewarned. I've talked to a couple of people, and probably Charlie knows about this, but a lot of times you'll get on a call with a career coach, and then they'll tell you that they can redo your resume. It's going to get you a lot of interviews, blah, blah, blah. And unfortunately, the resumes are like thousands of dollars. I've heard of thousands of dollars. Maybe they've come down now because of such the rage. But really, when you're thinking about working your resume, format doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Like, sure, there's preferences, but what we need to keep in mind as job seekers is that we need to satisfy our audience. Just like I know where a lot of times you guys are getting jammed up in the process, and we're starting from the beginning, right? So resumes, and that is a document that you're sharing with an audience of people, a very specific audience of people who want to know two things about you. One, what do you want to do? Okay. So what that means for you is that you need to look at the position description. And that's why you can't just pay $2,000 for one resume. You need to have a solid resume that explains your experience in the things that you want to do for the next 3 to 5 years, right? But then also it needs to be interchangeable so that you can make that resume for a different job as well. So let's say, for instance, there's two jobs that you're interested in. One seems to be maybe a little bit more salesy, and then the other one maybe is a little higher in admin responsibilities than you maybe like, but that is the focus. And you know that because you look at the position posting, and there's typically always those bullets, right? So look at those bullets. You're going to see those top few three. When hiring managers and recruiters get on a call together and start talking about, okay, we're going to open this job up, they're going to want to know, the recruiter's going to say, okay, on the job posting, we're going to put the top 3 qualifications that you want the person to have. And that's what the recruiter goes out and looks on your resume to find. And that's when they make the decision that they want to talk to you. So that's the first thing that you need to have on your resume, is absolutely what it is that you want to do. The second thing is, what have you done already? So in this scenario where there's 2 resumes, one of them is a little more salesy than the other one, which is maybe a little more admin. So on the salesy side, think about this, okay? If you're going to fill a position and it's a little more salesy, you're going to need to focus on your metrics, what things you've done in the past that showcase and highlight your skills and qualifications for a sales role. And not just show that you're a good salesperson, but show how you've won awards, or maybe you met some really high metric that the hiring manager or the manager at the time was like, okay, this is what we want, $30,000 in sales. You need to have that on your resume that really expresses exactly what you did. Now, on the admin side, maybe there's a resume that you can tweak so that it's got a little more admin. You're going to want to showcase those more administrative responsibilities, like doing a lot of organization, right? Because that's what admin is, a lot of organization. And then, of course, using software too. So if you have that, you want to put that on the top. And when I'm saying showcase these skills and this experience on your resume, it needs to be in the top half, all right? Because I've talked to a lot of people, and people think that, you know, the rumor is 6 to 8 seconds that a recruiter will look at your resume. And you know what I'm looking at? I'm looking for, can I contact you, right? The very basics. And do you have the skills and qualifications of what it says on the position posting? So I'm literally just scanning a document, any document. And if anybody here wants to share their resume, feel free to do that. We can do it in this forum, or you can feel free to send it to me via LinkedIn, which will be great. And then I'll just give you a quick little resume review. Kind of like, you know, the overall review of what you need to do on your resume. Like I said, formatting doesn't matter. What matters the most is that you have those two things on your resume. You want to go to the position posting and have them side by side. If you have two screens on your laptop or computer at home, that's great. If not, just go back and forth between the two. You should have your resume up, and you want to keep one solid copy of your resume, like your preferred, your outstanding resume that has all your 50 years of experience. I don't care, you know. But then when you put that position description and the position posting, and let me just add another little caveat here. Don't just save a link. Go to the position posting, copy all the words that you need to know, and save it on a Word document on your computer in a folder that's going to be for the company that you're applying to. That way, when you receive email notifications or anything like that, like process steps or anything, or maybe interview times or anything like that, you can take that information and stick it in that folder for later. You need to keep track of these things because, you know, I hate to say it, I've been doing this for 20 plus years now. I'm not even going to say how many more than 20, but at least 20 now. And, you know, there's a lot of junior recruiters out there. And, you know, I really thought that good recruiters were going to get all the great jobs. What I'm finding out is companies across the industries are really going for like junior recruiters because they can train them on how to look at a resume and say yes or no, and then move the person forward in the process. Like that's all there is to recruiting. It's not. Absolutely, it's not, as you know from your experience in the newsletter and some of the things that I put out. But, you know, at this point, what you need to do is satisfy every type of reader out there. Who's the reader? Who's your audience? It's going to be the recruiter. It's going to be the hiring manager. I have hiring managers that go out onto LinkedIn. They're looking on LinkedIn profiles. Another thing that you need to do is make sure that your resume is not identical to your LinkedIn profile. If anything, your LinkedIn profile should be much more built out. much more talking about how these are your skills and qualifications, but these are the things that you like to do. And this is where you see your career heading. It's really, really hard in economies like this, especially when, right now you're saying to yourself, Jesus, I just need a job. I need to get that paycheck rolling in. And that's really what this forum is about. But it's not only that, it's about thinking long term too, because what's going to happen? We've seen just in this first quarter of 2024 that people got hired like right after Christmas, the rush of the holiday season. It got really slow, and then hiring got really heavy in January, which it always does in recruitment. And then a lot of those people already lost their jobs because those companies didn't necessarily make what they were supposed to make in that first quarter. And then they lost their headcount, their ability to pay your paycheck for Q2 or Q3. So you really have to not only think about, okay, I just need a job, just give me a job. If that's the case, then just go down the street and work at Subway. What you need to do is really focus on, where do you want your career to take you? Because when you change your mindset, and we've talked about this a lot in the videos, if you haven't been on the YouTube channel, get on it, subscribe to it. I'm not just looking for people to subscribe because I don't care about that. What I care about is all those videos will tell you literally step by step how to get a job. So you shouldn't be challenged. If you're here, you should know exactly what your next steps are. Last week we put out, what was it? Or the week before, I think, what to do after you've been laid off the first 7 days. So if you didn't get a copy of that, go back to the newsletter. The very last post that I put out has a link to the very first 7 days, what you should do if you get laid off. Now, there's that resource, there's the YouTube channel, there's the newsletter. All of these things work together. Every single thing works together. So let's go back to your resume. Let's talk about that a little bit, how it works with your LinkedIn profile, what recruiters are doing on the other end. Because if you don't understand what the recruitment process is, you can't hack it, right? You can't anticipate what the next move is going to be and psychologically prepare for what's going to happen next. And one thing that you need to know is that recruiters will look at your resume, but they don't always trust that a static document like a resume, right? It could have been on Indeed for months. Who knows where it's been? So what they'll do is they'll go out onto your LinkedIn profile and see if they can find you and request to connect. If it's a recruiter that's worth their salt. Keep in mind, I'm lucky I work for a great company, but I also don't want to say that I'm lucky, because I also used a lot of my own strategies to help me get into a position where I'm really satisfied in the work that I do. I'm paid equivalent to what I feel like I deserve to be paid. And you can have that too. It's about preparing for the career journey. So recruiters are going to look at your resume. They're also going to look on LinkedIn if they know what they're doing, and they're going to try to connect with you. If they don't know what they're doing, or if they feel like they're too busy, then go out to LinkedIn and find that recruiter on LinkedIn and request to connect yourself. Sometimes you have to do their job. I'm seeing a question here in my chat. Let me see where I can even find my chat. Here it is. Okay. Let's see. So LinkedIn built out, yes, resume page after 20 plus years. Resume one page after 20. Charlie, what are you asking me? What does that mean? Come off mute.
I was trying. 2-page resume after so many years. I'm trying to limit it. It's almost impossible though, right?
It is impossible, yes. And I'm saying have one resume that, yeah, it shows all of your experience. Sure, that's fine. The past 20, 30, 70 years, I don't care. But when you find a job that you're really interested in, or you network with someone and their company that you really want to get into, there's a couple of different ways to do it. And using your resume and how you build that out is literally a strategy in itself. So let's say, for instance, I was looking for a salesperson to, sell some type of software. What I would want from you is a one-page resume that talks a lot about how you've sold resume in the past. Because you have so much experience, if you're saying 20 plus years, then you're going to want most of it to be functional. And if you remember, in the 90s and the early 2000s, we had two types of resumes. One was chronological, and the other one was a functional resume. And everybody who went through like resume classes or resume building classes learned this stuff. And so what you're going to do is you're going to have your chronological, what you've been doing for the past year, which we can also talk about that. But you're also going to want to have exactly how you met those metrics. You don't want to give away any trade secrets or any even of your own secrets, but what you want to do is highlight those accomplishments that you've recently had. If you don't have any accomplishments, then that's another conversation, because
I've got them. I just.
I know you do.
No, what I'm saying is
for everybody else.
No, not like more than anybody. I don't mean that. What I meant was, what you're saying is you've got this company, you're a good fit. Maybe you know somebody in there, right? Or you're in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a resume that's 2 pages long, and we all know that's too long. But hey, everybody, you've been in the corporate world for 20 some odd years.
2 pages is not horrible. It's not horrible. It's not.
But in that
long.
situation, do you bring it down to 1 page, or do you keep it at 2 pages and just target it more? See what I mean?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not answering any questions about Blue Origin in this format. I think we already know if we're in the. I mean, I don't talk about positions that I'm working on or other recruiters' positions that I'm working on. So yeah, I do work for Blue Origin, but I'm not talking about those. So to highlight what I would do, let's say you go to the grocery store and you're out there, and what I would do is if I was trying to find somebody, I would go stick a 1-page flyer underneath somebody's windshield wiper. And that's what you're trying to do, is just highlight your skills and accomplishments on a 1-pager. It doesn't have to be 1 page. It can be 2 pages. I'm just literally going to tell you, though, a lot of recruiters, they're not going to look that far back. What we're looking for is contact information. Do you have the skills and qualifications of what the hiring manager is looking for that position? And what I'm trying to say is, think about it as, here's your resume, and here's the job position and the requirements for that position. So if I say, okay, you need to have met large sale numbers, 50K in 1 quarter, okay? They want to see something that's consistent like that. So go by those first few bullet points of a position posting that you're looking at, and think about it like that. How does my resume show to the recruiter or the hiring manager that I meet the expectations of what they're looking for? You can tell your whole entire history, but a recruiter's only going to look at the first part.
Exactly.
Yeah,
to scale it down per the position. Take that 2-pager and scale it down to 1 page for that particular position. Okay. All right, thanks.
That's exactly what I would do. And, keep your hard copy of your resume. Keep a good copy on your desktop. I never really want to say keep that kind of stuff on your desktop. Obviously, what I teach is to get Google Suite so that you can use the entire contents of Google Drive, Google Sheets, Google PowerPoint, which is what it is. It's presentations, all the files. And when you keep it in a share drive like that, and this is something that I've really been, I talk to a lot of people that are like our generation, and they say, oh no, my laptop's in the shop because it died. Well, that's unfortunate, but if you kept your resume and all of your application file folders and all that kind of stuff in a Google Share Drive, you could borrow a friend's laptop and you could log in to your own email and have everything, and it won't even feel like you're on somebody else's laptop. So keep that in mind. That's really important. Another thing that's really important, like I said, is copying that job posting off of the internet, because what happens is recruiters will pull a job posting and now you have nothing to refer to by the time you get into the conversation with the hiring manager. So, we've talked about a lot so far. We talked about resumes, that first part of how to get unstuck if you're apply, but you're not getting any traction and you're not getting enough people call back, then you're going to have a problem, right? Because you're not actually getting to talk to somebody and sell yourself. So what you want to do is make sure that your resume is in alignment with that position posting. Now, everybody probably knows at this point that I don't even believe in applying on job boards. I know how hard it is to kick a really bad habit. You don't want to keep on hitting that quick apply button, because recruiters, they don't even want to I have a job right now that we have some internal people that we're interested in making offers to, but we absolutely must post the job online to satisfy federal compliance for the United States. So it's really important that you understand that if I, as a recruiter, and these are the things you need to know, because you need to know what you're up against and why you keep hitting that brick wall, okay? Because as a recruiter, by law, I must post the job, and I want to post it to a job board because then I know I've satisfied the compliance. Charlie, I think you're not on mute anymore, just sitting there. Or you're not on mute. Okay, so go ahead and mute. So if a recruiter is going to post their job on a job board, that job is going to sit there for 30 days. If you check Indeed, you check LinkedIn, you check CareerBuilder, Monster, Glassdoor, there's so many of them now. They all are the main job boards, and then other smaller job boards will aggregate or pull data from those job boards. They literally scrape the internet for jobs and post it. And if you don't know this, just try Googling jobs in your area and you'll see not only the job boards, but also Google will post those same jobs. Now, the recruiter will post a job so that they can start working with candidates, but that job is going to stay out there for 30 days unless the recruiter intentionally goes out and pulls that posting. Do you think, first of all, they have time to do that when they're screening a lot of candidates and hiring managers are saying, hire for this position. Oh my God, I'm so busy. Do this. Okay. They're dropping the ball. They're not pulling the posting off of Indeed. So do you think ZipRecruiter, the aggregator, is going to still have that job posting up? Yes. So be careful where you apply. I personally love to use job boards for researching companies, but I don't think that anybody should apply to jobs, because what you're doing is you're jumping into a Red Sea filled with other job seekers that are just jamming up the works. The recruiter is getting to work in the morning. Let's say they have 200 resumes in their inbox. Do you think they want to sort through all of those 200 just to find you? They don't. So what do they do instead? They'll like go through a few people, but then they'll go to LinkedIn. It's what they do, because what we want to do as recruiters is find low-hanging fruit. And the reason why is because we have a job to do. Just like when you had your job, you were busy every dang day. You went to work and your boss was like, deliverables, you know, and they're telling you, get these things done. Recruiters also want to use shortcuts, and typically we're pretty tech savvy. If we're still around these days, we're pretty tech savvy, so we can figure out how to use software to our ability, which is why job seekers are concerned that AI is, you know, really driving their resume. And you know, it's not. Your resume is not even getting the attraction of AI, unfortunately. You know, it's just so sad, because once you apply to the job with your resume, it's just sitting there. You know, what you want is your resume to do the work for you. Now, if you really need a job today, I'm not going to say don't apply to job boards, because I've got jobs before on job boards, and yeah, I did get the job, but this was also a really long time ago when recruiters used job boards more often, and it wasn't saturated with so many candidates. Right now, that's what you're dealing with, is the competition of all the people out there. So I have another question here. If you set up your resume to the job description you apply for, then after a phone call from the hiring manager, you move forward to the next interview, but the hiring manager moves you to a different job description. What should you do? That's different, Kelly. Okay, so let's say, all right, that's not that is a trick question, because first of all, that's crazy. If the hiring manager is moving you to a different job posting, then your responsibility as a job seeker and somebody who's already interviewed is, first of all, I would be asking you, if you know that happened, why aren't you calling your recruiter so that you can talk to them, like, what are next steps? Okay, so I see there's only very minimal reason why the hiring manager would move you to a different job rec, and that would be, you know, my experience would be if maybe they were looking at you for a level 3 position, but decided that you didn't have the skills and qualifications and thought maybe you would be better in a level 2. So if that's the case, then I would still be reaching out to your recruiter. You've got to have some communication in your email that person requested to have the interview. You said you move forward to the next interview. So somebody emailed you. Go find that email address, reach out to them, tell them that you want to see that job posting, all of the details of it. Save it for yourself so that you're prepared to speak to that when you talk to the hiring manager in the next stage. Does that answer the question, Kelly?
Yeah, that does.
Yes. Okay, great. And then email me or something, like we'll connect tomorrow.
Okay.
Let's see. I was moved 3 times to have different interviews in the company while I only applied for one job. Actually, that's really good news. That means that whoever was looking at your resume thought that you could potentially be a fit for a couple of different jobs. And that's not a bad thing. What you want to do, and what I tell people when I try to help them get jobs within my company, is look, don't apply to too many different jobs. It's not about the job, okay? It's about the recruiter. You want to talk to the recruiter because there's hundreds of jobs out there. But if you talk to the recruiter is the one who wants to fill the job fastest. Because as soon as I get my jobs off my plate, then I have less work to do, frankly. And I work pretty hard, but I don't want to work until 7 o'clock at night. I don't want to do that. And frankly, I don't, because I manage my workload in a way where I can fill the job recs that I have, because I'm looking at resumes or I'm going out on LinkedIn and finding people who match the qualifications and literally reaching out to them, calling them on the phone or sending them a message and saying, hey, can we get on a call? I'm interested in talking to you. So that's a good thing if you've been hit up for a couple of different jobs. Let's go back to some of the things that can jam you up in the process, because I think it's really important for people to know. Literally, there's only a few things you need to know about the interview process or even the job seeking process in itself. And one of them is how to avoid red flags. What are red flags? Okay, you're walking down the street and you're on your way to a coffee shop and you're going on a blind date and you trip and completely fall, and there was some mud on the ground and now your slacks are filthy, and you walk into this coffee shop and you meet this person for the very first time and you look like a wreck, right? You've already blown it. And I'm not going to say, oh, that's the whole story, it's over. Those people could have got married and had 3 kids. You never know. Point is, first impressions are everything. Once you wreck that, then it's really hard to recover from it. So you want to get that resume in alignment. You want to get your LinkedIn profile in alignment. You want to go out to your social media, make sure it's scrubbed, make sure it's great, that it doesn't have crazy stuff out there. And if you don't know what crazy stuff is, then you need to do some research on what the etiquette is right now for being politically aware. Make sure that all that stuff is cleaned up before you start hard hitting either the job boards. I would say not the job boards, but go on to LinkedIn, social media sites. There's also ways to get jobs using Facebook, believe it or not. I started a couple of classes about that. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But definitely always happy to do that, because that's pretty exciting. I love going on Facebook. But to get unstuck, if a recruiter's already reached out to you and now you're scheduled for your interview. So my young daughter, my youngest daughter today, she's 22. She has a job interview coming up. And the first thing that she did wrong was, we were walking to the park with my grandson and the recruiter called, and she was about to take the call right there while she was walking. And it was a good thing that the recruiter was actually busy and said, oh no, I'm getting another call in. I need to reschedule this. Let me send you an email. So don't take the first call that I know you need a job today because you need a paycheck. Don't do it, because that's the first red flag. It's not that you don't want to seem needy or anything like that. It's not about that. What it's about is being prepared. So you don't want to take a call from a recruiter until you're sitting down at your desk. A very brief story is I was working at a different company, and it was an awful company. I hated that company. But ended up getting out. But during one of my interviews, it was like, a recruiter called me during the workday. So I'm on my cell phone, right? And immediately I get up and I start to walk out the door. And I said, hold on just a second. Let me get to a quiet place. Well, the recruiter didn't like the idea that I told him to hold on and disqualified me, rejected me from the job for doing that. And I thought, well, that's stupid, but it's so true, because I've seen other recruiters do it before too. Like, what is this person doing all day? If they're looking for a job, they should be available right now. Well, what you want to do is make sure that you let that recruiter know, I'm not available right now. I'm in the process of something, but I'd be happy to get something on the calendar for us ASAP. What's your availability? My suggestion is to go out to Calendly and get a free, you can get it for one person, just get the free minimal basic subscription. You'll get a link so that you can give it to a recruiter. Now, don't just give this to the recruiter and not say anything. You can give it to a recruiter and say, feel free to send me your calendar link, or you can use this, whatever's more convenient to you. Now, remember, no matter what, it's not about we're trying to kiss recruiters' butts. It's not about that. What it's about is you're showing how you can work with others, offer exceptional customer service. Even I have to give customer service. I have internal customers, internal clients. I need to work with them. So, we all have that. And you need to prove that you can streamline the process. When you make things so simple for a recruiter, they just click a button, they want to hire you because they know that they're going to get you through the process. They know that you're going to listen and follow the steps. Second, definitely follow those steps. You need to follow instruction. So if they respond with a link for you to click, for you to get something scheduled on the calendar, use that instead. Whatever suggestion they give to you, don't try to change their internal process, because I work for a large corporation and we have a pretty strict process, right? Personally, I'm super flexible. If you call me in the middle of the day and you're the right fit, I'm going to go into my system and push things around until I get you to where I need you to be. That's what you want a recruiter to do for you. If they're not doing that for you, it's because you're not managing the relationship properly. You need to get out there and start talking to recruiters so that they know who you are. Here's another, do you know experience from out of the US work for HR? I don't know what that question is. I'm not sure what that question is. If you're talking about what qualifications are, then you need to go onto the company's website and look at the position posting. And at the very bottom, it's going to tell you like all of their compliance, everything that you need to know. So if you are outside of the US and you're applying to a company that's in the US, then you need to look at the job posting and find out what those qualifications are. Keep submitting your resume. If a recruiter reaches out to you, that's your new point of contact. You want to talk to them. Let's go back to getting unstuck. If you're stuck and you're in a jam and you've talked to a recruiter and now they're not calling you back for the next step in the process, that really stinks. And I've worked with a few people lately, and I even had some really weird experience on LinkedIn where somebody said it was due to ageism. And that's always like, it's a big deal to me because, first of all, I'm a woman and I'm also over 40, and women are protected groups, protected class, and over 40 are protected class. So, not to mention the fact that I'm HR. I mean, all recruiters have HR understanding if they're good. They're good recruiters, right? So we know that you can't discriminate. It's literally against the law. And if somebody does this to you, they're breaking the law. So it's not going to be every single job that you apply to that people are just going to randomly break the law. They're not going to do it. So everybody who sees this and thinks that they're being discriminated against because of ageism, we need to have a conversation, because what you need to do is break down everything that you are doing in the interview process. Because if you're presenting yourself as someone who is cranky, doesn't want to learn new things, set in their ways, and doesn't want to use the recruiter's calendar. No, I sent you my calendar. You have to use this. No, that's not ageism. That is You are not being agreeable with the process, okay? So, a lot of people feel like they're being discriminated because they're over 40, when a lot of times that's not the case at all. You get on a call and you're like, who's this? Or I think I've had a call a couple weeks ago. I reached out to somebody, and we'll just call him, John Smith. Hi, is this John Smith? Yeah, who's this? Do I want to talk to this person now? Yeah, I have to. Well, John Smith, this is Cass Murray from Blue Origin, and I'm calling you because you applied to one of our positions. Do you have time to talk about that right now? Is this still a good time for you? Oh, yeah, okay, all right. So we can move forward in the process. But if you're super guarded, right? And another thing that we're going to talk about is how to avoid getting hacked while you're job seeking, because you're putting all your info out there, let me tell you. But that'll be coming up in another session on the newsletter. But if you're not being agreeable, if you're not being compliant to the interview process, if you're skipping steps, if you're being cranky, if you're not having a positive outlook or a positive mood when you get into the interview process, if you're not hitting it off with the recruiter because you're just not following instructions or you're not being pleasant, then you're gonna get knocked out of the process. If you've already had an interview with a company and they haven't reached back out to you, I urge you to spend some time thinking about what that interview was about. Now, when I have two daughters, I think everybody knows that by now. My oldest daughter, I told her, if you get into an interview scenario and you're on the phone or you're in a situation where you can do that, get on your computer and get on that call, or use your phone to record the call. Do talk to text on your phone, because we all know how to do talk to text at this point. If you talk to text on your phone and you are not only seeing what you're saying, if you can record it on video is even better. And what I typically do, if I'm on my computer and I'm going to have an interview, I will get on my phone. I will hit the record instead of take a picture, hit the record, and then put my phone face down and shut off notifications and things. So now everything that's happening is being recorded. And then after the interview, I can go back and say, ooh, I shouldn't have said that thing. Maybe that was it or something else. But what is really important is making sure that if you're having an interview, you shouldn't even get into the interview until you have your job story straight. Biggest red flags that get people knocked out of the interview process. One is what they were, why they got fired or laid off or whatever from their last job, right? It may not even be your fault, but it's the way you present it. And if you're presenting it in a way that's not that great, then that kind of stinks. A good example is I was on LinkedIn and I was looking at somebody's profile because they really had the qualifications I was looking for, but they had this whole year gap in their experience. And they had put a little blurb that said, I took off, went to Europe, did all these things, got some travel in, and now I'm coming back and I'm absolutely enjoying my life, but I'm also ready to go back to work. So, it's something different if you're very transparent, especially when you're thinking about a lot of us. We have parents to take care of. Okay, we have kids to take care of. Personally, I've been spending a lot more time with my grandson lately while my daughter started a new job that she's really having to focus on. And so, you can say these things to a recruiter and a good company, and it's okay. Be transparent. Tell them, I took some time out. I was burnt out. I even tell people in the interview, I told people in the interview for Blue, you know, I really, really, really thought that I was burnt out from recruiting. But as soon as I got away from it for a little bit, I realized I enjoy it. I really want to spend more time doing that. What I didn't like was this and this and this. And a company loves when you tell them, I thought this, but then I learned this about myself. Let me see this. So Charlie said, okay, to know, I think this, not an excuse. So people recently told me to shorten resume. Sure, and you have to tell me is how you respond. I've been trying to position myself in a better light. Okay, so remember what I said. I think we talked about this before, Charlie, is like, you really need to focus on how you're going to explain those gaps. It's not hard to explain gaps because, first of all, a lot of reasons that you have a gap is nobody's damn business, okay? And I know you're like, yep, because it's true. But what we need to do is present it in a way that we're not saying it's none of your damn business, you know, because then you'll get knocked out of the process. What I would like to hear as a recruiter, you know, you had a gap, whatever happened, you know, I took some time off. I needed to really get back to spending time with my family. And, you know, we ended up getting a puppy and it was great. Like, do it. Yes, exactly. Be positive, but take this opportunity. And I think I've talked to you about this, Charlie, is interviewing. Nobody's listening, but interviewing is a psychological experience. So what does that mean? When you go into that conversation with strangers you've never met before, you don't know anything about them. They don't know anything about you. They don't know anything. You need to go in there and you need to let them know who you are, especially in the first conversation. I'm not saying be verbose or anything like that, but when they ask you a question, start talking to them, have a conversation and talk to them, make them like you. That's the important part. Because, you know, HR is always saying you can't just hire the people that you like. Well, guess what? It's what hiring managers do anyway. You just need to know that. So, you know, you can have all the qualifications, but 5 other people in the room may have the same qualifications. The reason that the hiring manager will hire you is because they think that you're going to get along the best with the rest of the team. Can you be a team player? Okay, so soft skills are huge when you're talking about being in the interview process and psychologically taking advantage of the situation. When I get into an interview, the first thing that I start doing is I start to tell the recruiter, and this is what I coached my daughter to do, and that's how she got the job over other people when she has less experience, frankly. But I told her, I'm like, be a bull. You get on a call with the recruiter and they start asking you like these really templated questions and they're like, so, you know, and it's very yes, no answers. Don't do that. Just tell them, this is why I'm a great fit for the position. This, and this. And some of the things that I learned about myself were this, and this. You are managing the expectations of the interview. Is it easy? No. But a little bit of coaching and a little bit of tweaking, anybody can do it. Because what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a situation where you're going to go to somebody and tell them, this is why you should hire me. It's kind of like that psychological twist where some career coaches may say, I know I always tell everybody, ask for the job. What does that mean? That means, Mr. Hiring Manager, you need to know that this is my top choice in opportunities. And the reasons why are I really love your company. It's really great that you guys are going to space, you're making rockets, you're actually making human space flight accessible and affordable. These are my, you know, just my examples. But these are the reasons why. So you need to press upon the recruiter that's trying to just put you into a black and white check the box, because you're not going to stand out. You're not going to shine to that recruiter. Initiate the relationship, especially if they make a mistake. This is very important. I believe I talked to Charlie about this before, but a lot of times when you think about the psychology of the trust buffet, right? You don't know me. You don't know what I do when I shut my laptop and I'm done for the rest of the night. You have no idea. I don't know you until you tell me and I get to know you a little bit better. So the only way that's going to happen is if we have some conversation. That's why I'm saying go out to the companies that you want to work for. Look on LinkedIn, look for the recruiters that work for those companies and initiate a conversation, begin a relationship with those people. Not just the recruiter, but your potential manager if you got hired in that company. How do I know who that's going to be? Well, look at your resume. What are the keywords? What are the things that you want to do? Oh, look, there's the guy who's already doing it. Oh my gosh, he's a manager. He's saying that he's hiring. That's how you find out, and you talk to them. Now, another way to do that without, we've talked about this before too, do not just give your resume. Don't do that, because that's scammy and spammy these days. I know you're saying, I just gave my resume out today. Don't do it, because you know what? It's not helping you. All these people on LinkedIn that keep on posting these green posts, and this may be controversial, but I'm just going to tell you that the people that are posting these things and other people are posting, and they're saying like, I'm sharing this for further reach. That's not how people get jobs. It's not how people get jobs. You have to know somebody. And how do you know somebody? You have to meet somebody. That's how it is. You could give me my resume, it could sit on my desktop. I have resumes. I have resumes in my email inbox. I have resumes. Resumes are a static thing. You need to make a relationship. This is the age of social media and social everything. I don't know if anybody's seen the commercials for Snapchat. And Snapchat is like, don't be social, like be real. Be right here. I love their little commercials because it's cute. It's like, be silly. Don't try to be like, those girls that are doing the duck flips and they're so fake. Don't be a Kardashian. Don't do that. This is not 1990. It's not 2001. We're not going to job fairs. We're not meeting people face to face. We're not looking at people in the face. We're not shaking their hand. We're not passing them a paper resume anymore. So why are we still using static resumes? Because that's not how we do it, unless you are a brain surgeon or rocket scientist that has a very unique skill set. I'm not going to go digging in the archives to look for your resume on Google. I'm just not going to do it. You need to brand yourself and get out there and start talking to people. I have a message starting here. What would be your view as a recruiter where I don't have the experience of job descriptions asking for? How do recruiters see the situation? Is it more of a big no because of not meeting the experience? Yeah, pretty much. It is a big no for not meeting the experience. The expectations for people who don't have the experiences, they need to go get the experience first. So it depends on your scenario, right? So if you're talking about the aerospace industry, obviously you're not going to be qualified for an aerospace 2 position if you're just fresh out of college. It's just, it's not done that way. It's just not the way it works. If you want to go out and start looking at jobs that will get you some, like you can get a mechanical, if you have a mechanical engineering degree or you have an aerospace degree, you can go out and you can get jobs at other companies that will hire you for a level 1. And once you have that experience, the real world experience, you can apply for a level 2. That's how it goes. If you don't have the experience and you can't get it, that's the reason why you want to go out and get internships, or you want to start going out, reading books. Another thing is to brand yourself, because when you brand yourself, what you're doing is you're not just focusing on you, it's your entire persona. So think about me. Lots of people in my network, I'm reaching out all the time. People know who I am. I'm talking to them about what? How to get a job. So if you don't feel like you have the experience, read the books, read the papers that people in your profession are writing, reach out to those people, start initiating a conversation, learn more, and that's how you're going to network into your industry. Do hiring managers look at cover letters? Whoa! Thank you for saying this, because we're almost at time. And I wanted to talk about that absolutely for sure. In your resume, always on the top, people have like their contact information. The only thing that you need to have is your name. And let me just tell you, it needs to be your full legal name on your resume, but you can also do like goes by, okay? Now that's because a resume is a legal document. You're going to put your good contact information, not your street address. Nobody contacts you that way. We're not going to send you a mail in the mail. We're going to send you an email. So just your email and your LinkedIn profile. Stick that on there, and that validates the information that you put into your resume if you've written your LinkedIn profile and your resume correctly. Next thing that you're going to do after that information is put a semi-cover letter. You want 1 or 2 paragraphs with only a couple to a few sentences each. So 1, 2, 3 sentences for paragraph 1, 1, 2 sentences for paragraph 2. That's your cover letter, right? So for instance, I'm going to put Cass Murray. I'm going to put my phone number, I'm going to put my LinkedIn profile. I'm going to put my email address, and then I'm going to say, I absolutely want to work for Blue Origin because I know that they are an up and coming and emerging aerospace company that is really looking forward to making human spaceflight accessible to humans. Not only accessible, but affordable, just like buying a plane ticket. Put your little paragraph of why you want to work for the company right there. You don't need a cover letter, because recruiters don't read cover letters. You know when a recruiter reads a cover letter is when they're like, whoa, this person sent a cover letter in and we better look at it because we're going to send them to the panel interview, the final interview. So that's when they're like, I better look at this, you know. Anything that you do provide, though, is documentation like referral letters, certificates that you've received, have to stay in a packet with your resume. So the recruiter has to upload that as one file. If your little tiny brief cover letter, the reason why I want to work for US Bank is because you guys get people money back every day, and I don't like to be like a shark and take people's money. You know, whatever the reason is, be personal, be uniquely you, because what we're finding as we're coming into an age where there's so much more social media, so many more like, you know, static pages out there on websites and things, we're finding out that when you can meet a person in the flesh or virtually, right? Then you're going to get to know who they are. You're going to like them better. It's a psychological construct. And that's where we're at right now. Resumes are out. LinkedIn profile is in. Keep it updated. Update it all the time. Put new information in it. When you're in the interview, tell people, these are the things that I learned last year about myself. They're going to love that. They're going to want to hire you just because of that kind of stuff. So that's really important. Open to work, and great well-known people say do not use open to work. You know what? All that stuff is, you know, it's cliche. It's all junk. It's, you know what? You can use open to work if you need to work, if you need to get a job right now. use it. Nobody's saying don't. Well, stupid recruiters do. What I don't like is like, do it or don't, those. And I think we talked about this, Charlie, curate your feed. If you're still seeing that shit on your feed, get rid of it, block it. You have to stop looking at things like that are not important. What's important is you meeting the hiring manager, right? Or meeting the right recruiter, right? Why do you want to even talk to that person? They have the job that you want. So you need to think ahead exactly to the offer that you will accept. I know that I want to work remote. If I have to go into the office, that's not the job for me. So I'm going to write that on my whatever it's called, like your non, I don't even know anymore, after 6. You are not going to be flexible on that. No, not a non-compete. No, I meant like non-negotiable. That's the one that I wanted to say, non-negotiables. So you should have a very short list of non-negotiables, like what's the minimum compensation, but you would be happy with it. Okay, so that's the number. And you can know that. You don't have to tell everybody, but you need to know what that is, because then you need to go out to that when you're doing your research, find the job that's going to be where you're gonna say yes to the offer. Because how many times do we get to the offer process and we say, this is not what I wanted? And that's where it comes into play that you're very transparent and build a relationship with the recruiter, and that at every conversation that you have with them, bring up compensation, because that's really important. Like if you don't care and you're like, I really want to build rockets, like that's my dream. I don't care if I get paid 80K or 90K or 100K. I don't care. I want to build a rocket. That's different. You go to the recruiter and tell them. You have to be transparent with a recruiter. Recruiter's like the doctor, practically. If you have a crappy recruiter, then that's unfortunate, And just so you know, it's zero representative of whether the company is good or not, because you've got a lot of job seekers in a really great market that will say, oh, if the recruiter's not going to call me back, then that's not the kind of company that I want to work for. Block those people off your feed. Get rid of that crap, because all they're doing is they're creating dissent in your job search process. I have people that are looking for a job right now, and they're reposting job postings that have errors on them. Why are you wasting your time with that? Delete it. Keep scrolling. It's just like Facebook or anything else. If you don't want to see it, block it. Because what you're doing, the longer that you're out of work, is less money going into your pension, less money that you're even making in your pocket every week, more burden that you're having to put on the people in your family. And these are the things that hurt. These are the things that hurt. If I got laid off tomorrow, my husband's going to have to add me to his Kaiser. And we already know that it costs $800 a month for me to be on Kaiser because I'm over 50. So, these things hurt. They hurt you in the long run. The longer that you're unemployed is the longer that it's going to be before you're going to feel that satisfaction every day of going to work. Even if it's, it's like, it's work. How much do I like it? I'd rather be fishing. Yes, of course. But we all have to work. So what we want to do, instead of focusing on, oh, I need a job tomorrow. If you need a job and pay so you can eat and a roof over your head, I get it. I've been there. You don't even know. I've been there. So go and get a job. But what you need to do is focus on what you want to do to build your career so that you can be a top performer in your career, so that you can be like people like me and people that I've coached that go on to get jobs where they love what they do. They're excited about Monday. They're like, I'm excited about Monday. I'll start half an hour early on Monday because I did not prepare for the week on the weekend, because I try to stay off my computer. I really do, but it's hard. because I want to talk to people about rockets. I mean, I know it's sad, but I mean, if you love your job, and that's where you deserve to be. So go back to the newsletter, read the things that I say. If you want to skip through a bunch of stuff, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to it so that it pops up in your feed all the time. Curate your feed. My God, please, if you're looking for work, get all this stuff off, because you know why? LinkedIn is a lot like Facebook in a lot of ways, because you're seeing a bunch of junk. Stop clicking and liking stuff that you don't need to see in your feed. Block it. Get rid of it. I have a networking in the flesh opportunity next week where there will be lots of people in the space industry. How should you prepare? Easy. Go in there, make sure you have a mint, because if you're talking to people, you're going to be breathing on people. Bring your hand sanitizer. Have paper resumes ready for people that want a paper resume, but also get an app on your phone. I don't care which one you use. There's so many now. It's like a digital card. If I were you, I would just get one of those QR codes that is your LinkedIn profile. Because my God, if you came up to me, Kelly, and said, boom, you know, I would just feel, I would hit my camera, and then I would just, and now we're connected, and now you can follow up with me. So make sure that you don't spend too much time talking about the job description. What you want to do is walk up to people. And if I was going to job fair tomorrow, I would just walk up to people and I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so great to meet you in the flesh. I've been prowling your LinkedIn profile, and wow, you've done a lot of cool stuff. Don't talk about the job. You don't need to talk about the job. You're going to apply to the job. Get connected to that person. Tell them that you're super excited about their industry and the things that their company is doing. You know, just like really be a breath of fresh air. High energy, very friendly, excited. That's what we look for. Try not to be shy. Don't let your palms sweat. Don't worry about that kind of stuff, okay? It's not a big deal, and you don't have to shake hands if you don't want to. The next thing is I would only spend like a very minimal amount of time with one person, then go to the next one. That's what I would do. That would be my strategy if I want to go into a new industry or into an industry and I want to go talk to as many people as I can. So yeah, don't talk about your resume because they're going to see it. Don't talk about your LinkedIn profile. They're going to have it. Don't talk about the job unless they ask you. Like I said, if that's part of their process, then do it. Yeah. All right, everybody, I'm over. But if you end up having more questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and send me a message. I'm happy. And if we need to get on a call, happy to do that too. And Charlie, I think we should really get back on a call because it's been a couple of weeks. So I will talk to everyone soon, and this recording will be on YouTube very soon. Okay, thanks all. Have a great night.